Yo, we are back to video number 2 in Multiplier Listens to Demos. Yeah, we're going to carry on from where we left off. We finished off with this Micah Smith track. Next track in the list is, we only got through 3 in the last video, so that's going to give you an idea of how far we're going to get. There's always going to be a trade-off between, say, kind of how many of these I can get through. Not in a bad way, just kind of go through, I guess would be a better way to phrase it. How many I can go through and how much I can listen to each track and give kind of useful comments on. So yeah, it's always going to be a balance. We're going to definitely try and listen to as many as possible though. So yeah, and now we're listening to this one. We're going to do some clicking. It is from some dude called Bport, or Bport as I'm going to call him. No, it's not. It's a Bport remix. That was a lie. I just lied to you. It's from a dude called New FO and TBMA. Don't Bail Out. It's a Bport remix. Or maybe his name is Bport. I didn't read the track in time. So yeah, it's dude. He is called Bport. It's a remix. So yeah, I'm just gonna click play. Enough talking. Let's see what's going on with this track. I like it so far. There's a load of potential in that, but I tell you what it's missing. You know that main, or the little tweak that needs to happen. You know, how do I describe it? The main sort of like high pitched, almost like a synth sound, like a sampled synth sound sort of thing that drops around here, like around here. That sort of like repetitive sound is really, really cool. It's good sound, but it's a bit kind of flat throughout the section. So what I think would be cool is either sidechain that to like the trap kicks, like those big 808s, just so it kind of pumps in and out, like slowly, just to add another kind of rhythmic element, or add a bit more variation one way or another, because it's a little bit kind of there, where it'd be nice if it was kind of there and then came in and then kind of dipped out, or kind of went up, or just did something else. Yeah, that's what I'd kind of recommend. So like sidechain and press it to something. Like typically when you're sidechaining it to trap kicks like this, you'd have to set up a sends only kick, or like a ghost kick, some people call them. Kicks that don't actually go to the master, but just get sent to the sidechain compressor. Just because when you send a really long 808 to a sidechain, it sometimes works, sometimes really doesn't. So that's what I think that needs, just so it's a bit more variation, because it's a bit like held and it doesn't really go anywhere, like up or down. So that's what I'd recommend. Let's listen to some more of it. Same there, it's all just kind of there. It should be kind of there and then in and then there and then up, and then it just needs to move around a little bit kind of rhythmically, because a lot of trap is kind of rhythm. It's not that obvious. Yes, there's some obvious noises, but a lot of it's rhythm and attitude as well. It's got a little bit of attitude, which is cool, but it needs some more kind of hip hop swagger rhythm to it, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's cool though. Some nice noises. Yeah, it's cool. Let's listen to the next one, which is Trent House. Hope you like drum step. I do like drum step. But before I click this, it's worth saying drum step is a very, very hard genre to make, because there are so much very, very good drum step. So let's click play and see what happens. From TDKK. No, TTDK. Cool. I have comments for you. There's some potential in that for sure. I really like the layering of the different sort of sounds in the intro in particular. Like these, like some really nice sounds layered up in a nice sort of way. The big problem with the actual is kind of with the note, the way I see it at least, is with the notes in the intro. That it's a little bit like unexciting in terms of the physical notes, like the MIDI pattern. It's just not that exciting. Yeah, the cool sounds, but yeah, it's just a little bit predictable. It sounds like the sort of notes you press when you're just like learning instead of actually making it kind of musically interesting. So if you look at, say, I mean, you've like hashtag pendulum, which is the absolute like pinnacle of what a good like track like this should sound like. They may use kind of like, it won't necessarily always be a really complicated MIDI pattern because it doesn't have to be complicated to be interesting, but it does have to be a bit more than that. That sort of thing. It's just simple notes, kind of evenly spaced, at least kind of mix it up a bit. Or, yeah, it just needs to make kind of like the actual musical notes a little bit more interesting. That's what I'm going to say about the intro. And then for the drop, it's not bad. I feel like there's potential there. But at least the way I look at it, I think it needs more focus on the drums of the drum and bass. At least typically, it needs to be a bit more kind of interesting with the drums, I think. Whether or not that's kind of taking your existing kind of drum pattern and then kind of working it harder, or adding in some more elements, or adding more variation, I don't really know. Or even if it's just mixing the synths in with the drums differently so the drums stand out more, it's up to you. But the drums need to stand out more. That's one thing I've kind of learned about drum and bass over the years is there's a reason why it's called drums and bass. Or drum and bass. It's because the drums really got to be top level, and that's what one of the things that really separates the top guys from everyone else is the drums. And people don't realize it's the drums, but that's why guys like, I mean, Skrillex doesn't make much drum and bass, but Skrillex is so good. It's his drums are like really, really on point. And guys like Noisia, the drum programming and drum sound design is just absolutely through the roof. And they always start with the drums. Like the way Noisia works is they start with making drum sounds, and then at least typically they start making drum sounds. And then once they have some cool drum sounds, they might make them into some sort of drum beat. And then they might start picking in some sound design they've done previously to kind of match in with them. So, but it all kind of starts with the drums. That's kind of typical thing with drum and bass. It's really, really hard to start with like synth sounds and then put the drums in, because the drums kind of define the whole rhythm of the track. And a lot of the time the drums define the sound design and like the mixing space as well. So depending on how you want to do your drums determines what sort of synths you can put in and where. So it's just easier to kind of start with the drums, basically. That's cool. There's some potential in there. Definitely keep working on it. But yeah, I'd say make it more musically interesting, if that makes sense. Sonically, especially for the layering of the sounds, it's cool though. But yeah, let's listen to the next one, which is listen to one more in this video. I got a new email. Hey man, check out the song I wrote. I mastered it myself. Any feedback's appreciated. Let's do a click. See what it sounds like. So file 13 is called Safari. That's like an internet browser. Big Room House. It's cool so far. I like it. I have comments, but yeah, there's some potential in this. Like most tracks I hear, to be honest, there's normally some potential. Things to really work on is, I mean, just looking at the waveform as well, I can tell that it really needs a bit of work kind of on the mix or master just to kind of get it to the same level kind of sonically as all the other kind of big room tracks. Big room as well is one of those genres because it's so saturated, you really have to do something special to stand out or different. There's some nice musical ideas, especially leading up to the drop. The drums in the build need to stand out more. They just get a little bit lost, so it doesn't build up as much excitement as I'd expect in a big room track. You really got to build up the excitement for that really big drop. Again, in the drop, because you've made it quite simple, which most big room tracks are quite simple in the drop, the sound design and the mixing and all like the sonics have to be absolutely out of this world because it's a pretty simple idea. Simple idea, which is cool. There's a time and a place for a simple idea, and that's what big room house kind of is. But because there's only like 2 or 3 elements at any given time, each one has to be like super, super good. And that kick, for example, is only kind of okay or good. It's not really kind of really, really good. Just looking at the waveform as well. Just kind of analyze your resulting waveform with like a top big room track, and you should see the difference. But this waveform over here looks different. Let's listen kind of through the track, see if it changes. I think there needs some more variation on that as well. Even if it's just kind of subtle variation. Because a lot of the time, even what on the face of it might sound like a simple melody idea, in these kind of big room tracks, have actually got some really subtle variation, which kind of subconsciously you can hear. So vary that a little bit. More like it. That fill before the drop was a bit weak, but yeah, that drop's a lot more what I'd expect. Cool. So yeah, similar thing with the drums. Drums need to really stand out a bit more, but yeah, dropping into traps, cool. Has been done quite a bit, but I'd say it's definitely preferable to just repeating the first big room house drop section. But dynamically looking at that, that's more what it should look like. But yeah, kind of keep working on it. It's cool. Let's have a look at none more in this video because we've come to the end of video 2. Let's do some sort of whoosh noise and we'll go to video number 3. Whoosh.